Hello and welcome back to the MSDP Getting Started tutorial videos. In this third tutorial, we're going to look at video modules. We'll see how to generate feeds and capture them from webcams. We'll look at how to synthesize video. We'll see how we can filter videos with each other, and we'll see how we can output videos to a secondary output window. Here we are where we left off in the previous project, or previous Getting Started video. We have our big synthesizer and the second board, which I have since named controllers, even though we have one synthesis source here and one controller. We don't need these for this video, so I'm going to go ahead and close them both. And that doesn't worry me because I know I can access those again at any point by selecting them from our Select Board File drop-down menu. So I'm going to make a new board, and I want to quickly look at the video modules available to us in our module selection menu. We can see that video modules are divided into sources, generators, tools, and a very important output module. Our sources include things like our webcams and our video file players, whereas generators actually synthesize video in real time. The tools allow us to control and manipulate those videos in various ways. And then finally, very importantly, our projector module allows us to project those video sources onto secondary windows. So let's go ahead and use the camera capture to see how to get a webcam video feed to load into your project. So I'll click camera capture. As soon as that loads, it's going to look for my available webcams and turn one on, which it did. It found my Logitech C922 webcam and turned that on, which we can see in this little preview window here. Now, MSDP video modules are much like other modules throughout the platform. We have the ability to save and load presets, change parameters, and send signals or send information around to other modules. Video modules include an additional special preview box, which allows you to see the work as you're working on it. But this preview, as you can see, is pretty teeny tiny, and if we wanted to actually share something with the crowd, or if we just wanted to get a bigger and better view of what we're working on, we will need to send this to a projector module to output it to a projector window. So I'll create a new module. I'm going to go back to that video drop-down menu, and I'm going to go all the way to the bottom where we see output, and I'll select projector. Now we can see that when a projector module is generated, a new window pops up, which is a floating window by default, and we can position that anywhere we want, even on second monitors or projector outputs, which makes this perfect for performances. So if we want to send a video feed from one module to another, we need to use the video input and output addresses. Now this works very much like audio input and output addresses, but it's actually even easier. We just have a number that we choose as our address number, and we can choose any number between 1 and 9,999, which makes this very flexible. The only exception is 0, which, like master out or master 0 and mic 0 in audio addresses, is a dummy channel, which is why, even though they're both set to 0, nothing is coming onto this projection window now. So instead, I'll set this to V1. I'll set them both to V1, hit enter, and immediately we can see there I am on this secondary projection window. Now we have some options for this window. We can choose the window size, the height, and then we can choose the aspect ratio. Now, the camera capture module uses the default output for the webcam that you have plugged in. The default output for the C922 is actually 4:3, so if I switch this over to 16:9, we'll see that we get some black bars on either side. Not the most horrible thing. If we wanted this stream to fill up the screen, we can turn the preserve aspect ratio on toggle to the off position. But that makes things look a little funky, so I'm going to leave that for now. And for the rest of this video, or for a moment, I'll switch this back to 4:3. So webcam capture is great, it's very exciting, but one of the coolest features of our video modules is the ability to synthesize in real time. So let's make a synthesis module now, as a video synthesis. Now, with the 2.0 release, all of our video synthesis uses a toolbox called vSynth, which is created by a developer named Kevin Cripper. We have 3 vSynth generators by default: the waveform generator radial, and the waveform generator shapes. I'm going to go with the radial. I've been enjoying that a lot. Now you'll notice that the preview box for the vSynth module is not turned on by default. Actually, the camera capture is the only one that's turned on by default. And I recommend that you don't leave too many of these on at one time, because this can add additional load onto your GPU. So I turned the preview on for the vSynth module, and we can see that we are generating circles. This to me is more interesting than my webcam output, so I'm going to send this over to the projector. Now you'll notice that input text fields are the MSDP mint, whereas output fields are that MSDP black. So we want to make sure that we're assigning outputs to inputs. I'm going to set V2 and V2, and now we can see those pretty circles being generated by the vSynth module. One thing you'll notice about vSynth modules is they operate a little bit differently. We've actually retained the original vSynth interfaces, so the dials look different, the interfaces are contained within their own border, and then our wrapper for the interface takes up the rest of the module, and to keep things aesthetically consistent, we've chosen this darker gray background for all of the vSynth modules. But if we wanted to manipulate these, we can, in a similar way to normal MSDP modules, we can change things like the frequency. It's pretty cool. And time relates to the speed of that synthesis there. Now, for all the vSynth modules, we can actually determine the width and height of the creation. I want to set the width and height of this video to match the projector size, which is currently 720 by 540. vSynth parameters can be set actually on the console, where we see our video size, width, and height options. The default width and height is 320 by 320, not very large, but a large enough size for basic use, and it doesn't take much of your GPU load. But let's change this to 720 by 540 so it can fill up our window. So I'll just type in 720. And for height, I'm actually going to click and drag so we can see that this can update in real time. Up to 540. Almost got that just right. So now we can see that that synthesis is happening at a higher resolution, and it is filling up that projection frame. I can change some more parameters so you can see. Now, we also talked about manipulating and filtering videos. How do we do that? Well, this works just like it does in other modules. We want to send a signal from one location to another, and just like we sent a signal from both of these modules to the projector, I can actually send the signal from the camera capture over to the WFG radial module. The vSynth package generators have this really fancy ability to include frequency and pulse width modulation by sending one video signal or 2 video signals into it to control those additional parameters. So I'm going to take our camera capture and I'm going to use that as an input for our frequency modulation. That doesn't do anything right away. What we need to do is we need to find the frequency modulation dial and then either turn that up or down. And you'll see that as I crank that value up, my face begins to appear in these concentric circles. One more thing about working with the vSynth modules is they have these little boxes, which are toggles. And this one allows us to toggle between small and large values for the frequency modulation. We can get some pretty wild effects that way. Similarly, we can toggle between larger and smaller values for the frequency of the synthesis. Another pretty wild thing, right? We can crank these up together to get some pretty massively interesting results. Now, if I go over to one of these other shapes, one more thing I want to point out is the second toggle with frequency, which syncs outputs to multiples of 60 Hertz. What that does is it gets rid of this line, which can appear if your frequency doesn't occur at a rate that is compatible with a 60 Hertz refresh rate monitor. So you can see with that toggle on, we have fewer options. It actually snaps to values, but these are all values that will work for a 60 Hz refresh rate monitor. So at this point, we've seen how to capture a webcam feed, how to synthesize video, how to filter videos through each other, and then how to output these videos onto a projection screen. In the next video, we'll look at controlling our video and synthesis modules with LFO automators, with signal automators. We'll see how to use audio synthesis to create audio reactive effects on video. And we'll also look at how to record both video and audio within the project.